Hey guys, I got another video for you guys. I just wanted to show you guys, I just want to talk about a couple different things, a couple issues that I've had with my TL and other customers, Acuras and things like that. Most of these Acuras are pretty much the same when it comes to like a lot of the settings and the way the computer works and everything. Alright, so what I do have here is like, I'm going to show you guys the difference between the 0708 key and the 07 through 08 Acura TL key. Now, as you can see here, is that the blade for this one is thin, and then the blade for this one is thick. So if you used to use the 0708 key on the Acura TL, on the 04 to 06, it wouldn't fit the ignition because it would be too fat for the ignition to go in. See that? It'll be too fat. That's why they make these, the custom aftermarket ones, to fit where you can get a flip key for your custom aftermarket one. Just wanted to, explain that to you guys. I've had a lot of other people hit me up for other things, including like their car not shifting out of park because of this. And then, if the car doesn't shift out of park, then all you have to do is just flip this piece up here, this little tab here, and then just stick a flathead screwdriver in here, and it'll let you shift through the gears. 9 times out of 10, it's probably a fuse that blew. If you were touching something in the car and all of a sudden the fuse blew, then it would cause that, sometimes the shifter would go out and it wouldn't work. Another very common thing with the car is that the lights go out for the dashboard here. I have a tutorial up showing how to replace the lights behind here and behind the airbag, and a couple other things like behind here. All these bulbs go out after a while. The steering wheel lights, these lights here, you can change all of them. I have tutorials up for everything showing how to replace all of those different things. So this video is just like I explained. This is going to be just about going over the things that customers have complained about and other little things, especially pop the hood real quick. Go under the hood. So basically, a lot of people complained about replacing the PCV valve. This is the PCV valve here, right in front of the engine. This is positive crankcase ventilation. It vents the crankcase. So basically, it vents out the gases from the intake. Okay, and then, like I said, these are the ignition coils. These are what give spark to the spark plugs to get the engine started and for the engine to run. This is the throttle body right here. And then this is the intake manifold top covering. And then the whole intake manifold is under this covering. This is the air box. This is where the air filter is. This is the intake boot. Check this intake boot, because this rips, lets in hot air, and then your car drives, really, really bad. Sometimes it's good to just take the boot off, just to check the throttle, to check and see if the throttle's clean. Don't put your hand in there and push the throttle valve. I have a video up showing how to replace not to replace it, but how to clean the throttle body. I have a video how to clean the map sensor. This makes your car go into limp mode after a while. This goes out. I replaced it because I'd rather replace it before it goes bad, but I've had others that had the same issue, but I told them to replace the pedal position sensor, and it did fix their issues. These are the AC ports. These are where you plug in to recharge your AC. Okay, this is the power steering reservoir. This is power steering pressure hose that goes to the steering rack. This goes to the steering rack that helps steer the vehicle. This is a serpentine belt tensioner. This is the side engine mount. This is a torque strut mount. This is one that doesn't have vibration dampening, but the front one does. Here has vibration dampening, and the one in the rear has vibration dampening also. Then there's a transmission mount under the airbox. The battery sits here. This is where the battery sits. It has a tie down that's on it, but I don't have it on right now. Just going over the car for you guys, so you guys can, you know what most of these things are. This is a catalytic converter right here in the front with the oxygen sensor here. This is the alternator, and the AC compressor is right below it. That's the AC compressor. That's what gives you guys AC in your car. All of these cars, like most of these Acuras and Hondas and different cars like that, they're mostly all the same. They're really not much that difference to it, especially the braking system hasn't changed in a long time. So basically the way I've worked on a lot of different cars, even the way that this one works, the way the braking system works and everything, and it's just the bolt sizes are different, but it's the same way to do brake pads on an Altima, a Hyundai, a whole bunch of different cars. They're all the same. It's the same setup. I've done Jeeps, I've done Lexuses, I've done a whole bunch of different vehicles, and most of them are the same. The only ones that you really that's going to be really different, the braking system, is the ones with like the Brembo calipers and things like that. Those are like the bigger high performance vehicles. Those are a little different, but not that much different, but they're different. But this braking system's been working for the longest, and this is what everybody continues using. Me, I just replaced my rotors with the drill and slotted rotors, but they were painted black. So as I drove, it cut the paint off the rotor, and this is what it looks like after a couple days of riding on them. I had to change out mine because my stock ones that I had on, they were like done, and I'm gonna you know what, I'm gonna just show you guys what they look like. The ones that I took off, you know, try not to bash me too much, but I'm gonna show you guys what they look like. So this is my front rotor, and this is my rear rotor. Now you see, as you see, the grooves are here in the rotor. The back one doesn't really matter too much, but as you can see, the pads were dragging, and it was causing it to heat up a lot. And then the emergency brake sits in the back, in the inside. The pads sit in the inside for the emergency brake on the back. As you can see, the pads were dragging here, so it was getting really hot, and it caused a drag on the surface. This is the front rotor. This one's thicker than the front, than the back, because it's a front wheel drive car, so it needs more stopping power in the front. So basically, I'm gonna show you guys what the back look like. The front is in really bad shape. The rotors was getting really hot. Pads were heating it, caused it to warp. The surface of the rotor should be smooth. It should not be, you know, like grooving like this with, you know, grooves all in it. But this was bad. So every time I would stop, the steering wheel would shake. Whenever you stop and the steering wheel shakes, when you hit the brakes, as soon as you hit the brakes and start shaking, that means the rotor's bad. That means the rotor needs replacing. You don't really get vibration from the rear because it's a front wheel drive car, but you get vibration from the front because it's a front wheel drive car. And the front wheel drive causes a lot of vibration. So like I said, the front doesn't even look bad. The front is like okay, but a lot of people, they don't understand. It's like, oh yeah, well, if the front looks good, doesn't mean they think that the rotor's still good. It doesn't mean that. It means that you have to check the back of the rotor also to see what the back surface of the rotor looks like. So as you can see here, the front looks fine, but the rear is really messed up, and this is what was causing the vibrations as I stopped. It got really bad, so I had to take care of it. It actually got down to the point where my pads were like really low, and it was actually scraping the rotor a little. I didn't know. You know, I drive the TL, but I don't drive it every day. But this is what they look like after like 3 years of driving on them. But I do drive them hard, and I did drive the car hard, so that's why. Okay, back to the TL. Alright, so now, just like I say, it's just simple maintenance on the vehicle. You know, make sure you check your battery. I have a video up showing you how to check your battery, how to test it. For the people that do have the code on the dash that's saying check gas cap It's the purge valve that sits right here on the side. Needs to be replaced because it's going bad, and this is the valve that you got to replace in order to get that coat off. And then this is the one that you get to fix your, you know, limp mode, when your car goes in limp mode. And then this is your brake fluid reservoir. So your brake fluid, that's the low mark on the bottom, and that's the high mark on the top. Just like the power steering fluid, this is the high level, and this is the low mark. This is where your power steering is supposed to sit, between this mark and this mark. Okay. Also, for the coolant level reservoir, this is the max level that you should fill it, and this is the minimum level. When the radiator gets low for the coolant, it takes from this reservoir. So make sure this reservoir is always topped off, because if it doesn't, it'll cause the car to overheat eventually. The way the system works is where the radiator cools the coolant, goes through here into the thermostat. The thermostat opens, allows the coolant to go into the engine, the cool coolant into the engine, and then the hot coolant from the engine goes into the radiator to cool again before it's cycled again. So every time the fan turns on, it's because the fan is cooling the coolant that goes into the reservoir, into the radiator. It's going into there, and it's cooling it to make it cycle again. And it has a sensor on the bottom that tells the computer when to open and close the valve. And in order for the fans to come on, it has a sensor. So the sensor, once it gets to a certain temperature, the fans turn on to cool the coolant and then keep cycling the system. So it's important that you keep checking your coolant levels, especially in the summer. If you run the AC, your coolant levels are going to get low because the car just works a little bit harder. When you do turn on the AC, your idle is going to be a little bit higher, but kind of try to put on the AC only when you're like driving on the highway or whatever and stuff like that, or after driving the vehicle for a while. My basic maintenance items that I did was just, basically replacing these things. This was like $160, $170. This was about $40, $50. Purge valve, I didn't have any issues with that. That's like $130. This PCV Valve OEM is like $30. The Denso ignition coils, if you look online, instead of getting the Densos that I got, you can get the Hitachis. I have them in my Amazon store if you're interested. The spark plugs for this car is about $40, and you can get all 6 NGK iridium spark plugs for the car for next to nothing. I've seen a lot of these cars, especially the Odysseys, the Jeeps, and all of them. All these motors, they all look the same. They all set up the same. It's just some have a little bit more horsepower than the others. It's just simple maintenance on it, and the car drives wonderful after all these years. I've had it since like 62,000 miles in like 2011, and now I'm at 110,000 miles, and the car runs phenomenal. This is the power steering pump here. This is the whole pump itself here. Also, make sure you check your belt for cracks in the belt and the rubber. Check it for cracks and stuff. Then if it has cracks in it, make sure you replace them. I'll show you guys how to change the serpentine belt. It's not hard. What else? It's just basic maintenance on the car. Once you do basic maintenance on the car, you'll be good to go. You know, the car's a little fast, so you can expect to go through pads and rotors, you know, depending on how fast you drive the vehicle. You can go through pads and rotors, but anybody can tell if it vibrates when you stopping, it's because the rotors are warped. See, if you touch the rotors right now with the new rotors, it's super thin, it's smooth, it's nothing on it. Like, it's perfect. It's perfect. And it stops. When it stops really smooth. It even makes the car ride smoother in a straight line and everything. Right now I do have a suspension on here, BC Racing coilovers. The coils work great. I've had them on the car for about 3 years. None of the coils have busted yet. They all work great. No issues, no problems. It has the dampening where I can adjust the softness and the hardness of the ride by just turning the screw that's in here. It's under here. But I have a video up showing also how to adjust the dampening to the perfect thing. Now, if you're going to look into getting coils to lower your car, you might want to look into, you know, it's going to take a while after you install the coil. It's going to take a while to get the suspension adjusted to the perfect height that you like and the perfect ride height and, you know, the way the car feels, because you got to drive it and then adjust it again, drive it and adjust it again, drive it and adjust. It takes a little while, but it's worth it at the end, because, you know, the look and the way it feels and the way it rides is just great. I had zero issues with this car. Zero. I just wanted to make this quick video for you guys. Just showing you guys everything, just going over a couple things. These are my tips to you guys. Basically, if your headlight bulb goes up, I got a tutorial showing you how to change the headlight bulbs, how to replace the headlight bulbs, everything. Just look, it's in my tutorial section. Just look it up. And have a good day, y'all. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you guys have any questions, just ask. Thanks.